Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This week we're covering another historic brutalist building. And this time it's Manors car park. So the only way to describe this car park is it's really comes from the era of sort of T. Dan Smith and the whole sort of regeneration or redevelopment of the east of Newcastle city centre. So I've covered a little bit of this before about in the Newcastle's Unbuilt Motorways video, and it sort of shows what they were trying to do, really redevelop the city for the motor car and really change the whole city. So Manors car park is this lovely brutalist building that lies to the east of Newcastle city centre. And Manors car park has this lovely concrete form that sort of creates its main aspect of it. The site was devised during the sort of development of the Central Motorway. The Wilfred Burns plan was the proposal to turn the east of Newcastle city centre into a place that was a lot more car friendly. It appreciated the growing increase in car ownership and wanted to sort of react to that and develop a place for cars within Newcastle. The car park itself has a very distinct shape, and this is based around the constraints of the site. To the north, as I said, the Central Motorway, which now called the A167M. Previously this was the A1, and this runs to underneath the car park and heads out towards the north of the city. And to the south of the site is the East Coast Mainline, which runs over a viaduct over the Tyne Bridge and then runs around the back of the site. This creates sort of a very, very dense site and a very compact place which there was left to build this car park. But they still managed to fit a very impressive sized car park into this very constrained size. And these constraints sort of make the site as distinctive as it is. Following on from this, they tried to make this area to really tie into this sort of multi-level city they were trying to build at the time. And what this means is a number of pedestrian flyovers and underpasses that head through this sort of dense area of the city. There's also the Tyne Metro tunnels, which I'm sure if you're aware if you watched my Tyne Metro series, I'll probably put a link up here. They actually built the tunnel from Manors to Monument underneath the Central Motorway during the construction, and the Metro wasn't built for a considerable number of years after this, but they were sort of phased in together to not have to disturb the Central Motorway. This constrained site makes a real curvature to the facade of it that really stretches around the site. And this is only interrupted by the circulation ramp, which obviously allows cars to head up between the different layers. It's the only thing breaking this curved facade, but this is also again in a cylindrical form, so it really ties in well together. The car park is often noted as the first multi-storey car park in Newcastle, but I'm sure if you watched my Dex Garage video, you know this isn't true. A lot of sources claim this, but I gather it must be hinting that this was the modern multi-storey within the city, and it is built in a very different way to what the Dex Garage. Wilfred Burns' plan, just briefly, was aiming to increase the economic growth of the city by catering towards the motor car, and this sort of incentivised travel by offering free car parking within the city. Sort of schemes like this that even continue to this day to incentivise people travelling into Newcastle city centre, and they offer free parking after 5 o'clock to try and encourage people to do this. So it shows these ideas. Whilst we consider ourselves to be in more favour of active travel and sort of public transport to get into cities, it's clear the council's position hasn't changed considerably that much since the sort of 60s. So Manors car park really formed this sort of overall site that was the Swan House Roundabout and the sort of Central Motorway, and these all tied in together for this sort of development as they were all built as sort of one part of a considerable larger scheme. And this means that they try to like link these areas together. So obviously this elongated pedestrian footbridge from Manors train station touches the car park briefly before continuing on its path underneath the sort of Swan House Roundabout and 55 degrees north. So yeah, I want to finish off by talking about really the materials and sort of the material palette in this. So the whole area of the city is just really covered in concrete, and it's the sort of main material used. You've obviously got the historic East Coast Mainline viaduct that led into Manors railway station, and this has a bit of a more of a stone masonry feel, but the actual viaduct that connects under is just very dark and dingy. And there's a considerable amount of metal railings in this sort of thing, because obviously dealing with different levels they had to have sort of protective railings, and that sort of, it's this concrete and sort of railings that really define this area. The car park itself isn't actually in that bad shape compared to a lot of the other car parks I've covered. It's in fairly good repair. It's owned by Newcastle City Council at the minute. The only recent changes have really been is the entrance have moved round onto it's no longer on Trafalgar Street anymore. You now come in from near Manors railway station. Another change that happened is the top floor of this has been completely closed off, and they've installed solar panels on the roof. So I think this generates so many thousands of pounds worth of renewable energy for the city. This was done by Newcastle City Council, so I think that's a benefit. The other main material used in Manors car park on sort of the two edge facades, these are the east and west facades, and actually use concrete on the construction for this. It's bricks that make up this, and this is quite a nice material change. Internally, again, it's just the use of concrete and sort of tarmac for the different levels of floors, and there's this sort of textured, I would even call it like pebble dash panels that feature as another main material. But yeah, this is just a really impressive building, and I think the issue is with this whole site, it's all tied in together. You couldn't really knock down Manors car park without disrupting the Central Motorway entirely, and the fact it holds this pedestrian link as well, which there are very few pedestrian links across the Central Motorway, so losing that as well would be really devastating towards the city. There's a weird entrance into this car park as well underneath the Central Motorway, and it sort of leads down from the city centre. There's very difficult levels this site deals with to get from this almost like basement layer of 55 degree north up into the car park itself. So obviously that's raised over the Central Motorway. And obviously nearby, this site is changing rapidly. The new office development is happening on the Bank of England site, and that's going to be taller than 55 degrees north. So this view is going to change that you see as you come across the pedestrian footbridge. In the end of this, if I was to do anything with this building, I wouldn't want to see it knocked down. I wouldn't want to see it change too much. As much as I'm not a fan of a huge multi-storey car park in such a valuable part of the city centre, it is a real icon again for the site. It's an icon from the sort of the view you get from the gates at Quayside, and it's something you do see every time you come into Newcastle via the Tyne Bridge. Obviously the view you get coming northward or heading to the north, you don't see great, but heading southbound and then you see this and you go across Tyne Bridge, it's a lovely character of the area. It's just not something you really see in the UK, of this almost dense, I'd call it like very cyberpunky style city. If you imagine some more lights around here, it'd be very cyberpunky. But yeah, so thanks for watching this video on Manors car parks. I'm going to cover some more of these modernist icons within Tyneside, so yeah, stay tuned for that.